Hello friends, welcome to this video. So in this video we will be actually be building a Facebook Messenger chatting application, group chatting application inside the socket.io in Node.js and Express. And you can actually see this is actually the application, and if you land on this group chat application you need to enter your username. You can pick any username right here, and all this information we will be storing it inside MongoDB database. I've already created a database called as group chat. If you see right here, this is the database, and right after I select my username, I can give any username of, let me give my name and click on OK. And now you will basically see this message will there. Gautam, you can see the username that you enter has successfully joined the chat. A notification message will be sent to all the clients which will be connected to this application, this chat. So this is actually the URL. We are running it to localhost 3000. And the beauty about socket.io is that you can actually open this in different windows. And again, this will be another client, another socket. So you may just imagine whenever you deploy this application, whenever someone opens, it's a new connection. So it's a different user, which here you can provide another username. And now as I provide the username, you will actually see in this window also that notification message will also say that John has joined the chat. So it is broadcasting this event to all the clients that certain event has happened. So a new client has joined the chat. So side by side, let me show you the chatting here. And let's suppose if I send some kind of message right here from this window, you will now see it will be broadcasted to both the clients. You will see now this is actually the username followed by the message, text message. So here I will say hello and now send it, and now you will see this is actually the username that you selected in this window. And now you can see, so these are two different people talking to each other because I'm on the same computer. So I just opened two new browser windows which are actually communicating with each other. So now we also have the option to actually send images, PDF or videos, any sort of attachments. Right here you will see choose file button is there, and right here you can actually select any images that you want to send. So let me select this image and click on send. You will see in both the windows the image will be sent, and if you see it's a fully fledged image, you can open this image in new tab. So this image is sent right here, and in this way you can send any image in the chat window. You can see that. So we are actually storing all these images in the uploads directory. If you see, these images are stored in the server using Malter, and also we are storing the paths in MongoDB database. So these are all the tables which will get created. These are the messages table. These are the users table which are there in. So there are currently two users chatting with each other. You can see that the username, and these are the messages that they have exchanged. You will see this is a text message, this is the image message. Here we are storing the path of the image file right here. So similarly you can send any file. Need not have to be image. You can send PDF file, any file that you want to send. SVG file you can even send right here. So if you click send, so now if you see the SVG file is also showing right here. So if this is not a image file, in that case the file will have a downloaded link. So you will see that we are sending a webm file, and now you will see in both the windows the video file has been sent, and now anyone can click on it and they can download this file inside their computer and view this file. So in this way you can exchange messages, you can exchange files as well in this group chatting application. And we also have notification messages. So let's suppose if someone leaves this chat, so there will be this notification message that John has left the chat. Similarly, whenever someone joins it once again, we will again get this message that John has joined the chat. So all the basic functionalities of a group chatting application that you see online, the notification messages, you can exchange media as well. So all such things you will see that. And You can just connect as many clients as you want. You can have a third client connected. So we are opening another new window. So again, it will be a same user connected because we are storing the username in local storage. That's why you will not see every time the alert box. So if you are just opening the application for the very first time, then we are actually storing this username information in the local storage, and then we are actually inserting in the database. So you will see the local storage right here, and right here the username value is stored in the local storage. So every time we are not showing user the alert box to actually enter the username. For the very first time they select the username and we just store it in local storage, and then we store it in the users table in the database. So this is the logic, and we are storing media files right here if you see in the uploads directory. So now in the next section, guys, I will show you how to code this application from scratch. And if you are watching it for the very first time, please hit that like button, subscribe the channel as well. And for building this, we are actually using some of the technologies, which is socket.io, which is a WebRTC Pro library for implementing these bidirectional low latency communication between the client and the server for building these chatting applications. So we are using this socket.io library, and this is their official documentation and the website. You can read more about it. And then we are actually using Express.js for building the backend server. So just you can write Express. This is the backend server we are using, and in Node.js. And for uploading files, we are using this library called as Malter, which allows you to actually store all the images that you sent in the chatting application. So 4 million weekly downloads. And also we are using EJS template engine, which is allows you to actually render JavaScript templates inside your HTML. So 13 million weekly downloads. So these are all the packages we are using it: EJS, Express, Malter, Socket.io, and lastly we are using Mongoose package to actually connect with the MongoDB database, which acts as a driver. So it actually is a library which allows you to connect to the MongoDB database and store all this information. So 2 million weekly downloads. So now in the next section we are start coding this Facebook Messenger group chatting application. So if you need the full source code, the link is given in the description. You can go to my website procodestore.com and purchase the full source code with full documentation and support from me. So the link is given. You will actually get a zip file after the payment is done. You will be redirected to Google Drive, where you can actually get all the source code files which are there in this tutorial. This is a custom CSS. So I will not write all the code such as this custom CSS because it's not about CSS this tutorial. So it's better that you purchase it to actually better follow along with the tutorial. So I will be now be seeing in the next section. Now to get started, guys, I am navigating to the project directory, and right here I will simply make a new folder, and I will simply call this as Facebook Messenger clone, and I will navigate to this folder, cd into this Facebook Messenger clone. Let me see what I call this Facebook. So now I will open this folder inside VS Code. So first of all, what we need to do, we just need to create a empty package.json file with the default options, because we need to initialize our so we will simply say npm init -5. So this will actually create your package.json file if you see on the left hand side. Now we need to install the modules which are required for this application. So we will install the Express package for our web server. We will install the socket.io, EJS, Mongoose, and Malter. So all the 5 packages I talked about in the previous section: Express for backend server, Socket.io for implementing the chatting functionality for bidirectional communication between the client and the server, EJS is a template engine for rendering JavaScript in HTML. Mongoose for interacting with MongoDB database, and Malter for uploading image files. These are the 5 packages which are required, so simply install these. So after that we will start writing the starting point of the application. So write in the root directory, create your index.js file. Just create your index.js file. Now guys, we will actually create the starting point of the application, which is in the root directory, create your index.js file. And right inside this file, we will actually import all the packages first of all. And we will simply start the Express server first of all. We will require it. And for working with socket.io, we do need to include the socket.io package as well. We require it socket.io. And the thing with socket.io, it doesn't work with Express directly. You can't pass the reference of Express directly in socket.io. You do need to actually include the built-in package of HTTP, which is in there in Node.js for creating HTTP server. So you just need to require the built-in module of HTTP, and then we can actually pass the reference. So we will create a new app of Express, and then we will be creating a server which will be http dot create server, and here you need to pass your reference of this app variable right here in this app right here. So you can't directly pass socket.io to Express. You do need to do this like this, and then we will be creating a input output variable of socket.io and pass this server like this. So this is a thing with socket.io, and you just need to do right like this. And now we can start this HTTP server which have the Express. You can listen this on port number 5000, and just in the callback you can give a console log statement that app is listening on port 5000. And now in the development package.json we can add a script, dev script, and which will start nodemon index.js. Nodemon, if you don't know, it actually restarts your server every time if you make a change. You can install it globally like this, npm i-g nodemon. So it will restart your server whenever you make any sort of changes, and we simply added a script, dev script nodemon index.js. So we can simply now npm run dev, so automatically it will restart the server. You will see app is listening on port 5000, and you will actually console log statement is coming. So now after we did it is done, we just need to require the mongoose library for actually connecting it to the MongoDB database. So we just need to require this library, and the connection setup is pretty simple. We are using a community based UI GUI which is called as MongoDB Compass. You can even download this on Google. Just type MongoDB Compass. So it's available for Windows, and I think it's available, it's a cross-platform software. So you can even try out MongoDB Atlas, which is online version, but MongoDB, it's available for, you can see, Linux as well, Mac, every operating system it's available. So once you install it, you can start this, and this will actually give you this connection string that we need this MongoDB colon slash slash localhost. This is actual port number it listens on. Let me start the zoom it application so that I can zoom in on the actual thing. So by default the MongoDB listens on this port number, which is 27017. This is the connection string. Now you need to click this button of connect. So after that you can click on this create in database. So we can create a database called as Facebook Messenger, and then we just need to give it a sample connection. So you can give any name of to your table or collection. Click on create database. So this is required to actually create a basic collection whenever you're creating a database. So once you create your database, you will see it will create it like this. So now we can actually connect to this database by using you will just write a comment right here, MongoDB connection code. So we can simply say mongoose. So you can you can even write it in a different file, but I will, for the sake of this tutorial, I will write it in this same file. So MongoDB colon local hash 27017 followed by your database name. So Facebook Messenger, and then we can use new URL parser to be true, and use unified topology to be true as well. So if you do this, you will actually see, so nothing is giving error. So now we are successfully connected to the database. So after we do this, we just need to create a public folder right here, and here we will be just storing the static assets. So you can just create CSS folder, and then we can create the JavaScript folder inside this public. So this one, these are two different folders. First one for storing the CSS files, and then the second one for storing the JavaScript files which are on the client side. So these are two different folders, and the third folder we will create it for actually storing the media files. So whichever media files that you upload in chatting application, will be storing it in the uploads folder. This is a directory structure, and right after that we will be actually be creating a views folder where we will be storing the index.ejs file, which is a template engine that we installed it. So we can now set this template engine right here. We can simply say app.set view engine, and we can set that view engine to be EJS that we installed. Apart from that, we also need to make this directory, which is of the public directory, as static. So for that we'll use app.use and pass a middleware express static function that is provided by Express to actually make any directory as public. So we are making this public directory as static. And also we need to include express JSON, these two middlewares, and express.url encoded extended to false. So this is necessary while we are working with forms in order to get the values the user selects in the form. So these two things are necessary. This is specifically done for body parser middleware, which is built in an Express. Just write these two middleware lines. So now after that we also need to set up the Malter, so we can require this Malter package as well. After that we also need to set up the Malter storage engine. So right here you can set up it. After doing this, you can simply say configuring Malter. So we can just make a storage engine. So Malter provides you with the disk storage. So right in the inside this, it takes two options. First is the destination object state, so where you need to store your files. So this will be a callback function, and you will be storing it inside the public /uploads directory that we created. And the second option is the actual file name, what file name that you want to give to your uploaded file. So we'll be giving it a random name, by using date.now and whatever is the path of the file. So in order to get the path, we will be using the built-in package provided by Node.js, which is path. So just require it, and right inside this method, this module contains a method called as path.extension name, and we'll be getting the original name of the file using this property file.original name. That's all. So this will be the random file name which will get assigned. This is your storage. You can directly pass the storage to Malter. You can create a upload variable and you can simply pass to Malter whatever the storage that we assign. You can assign it to light. This is just a configuration code for Malter. If you ever worked with Malter, you will see what I'm doing right here. We are configuring the Malter to where you need to store your files and which file name, and then lastly we are providing this the storage object to the storage. This is your middleware which is ready. Now you can actually make some routes for our application. So first of all, we'll make a get route. So whenever someone goes to the home page, what sort of information that you see on the screen. So we have the app variable right here. We can simply make a get request right here. So when someone goes to the home page, we will be loading this template of EJS response.render index. So now in the index.ejs file, we can write any valid HTML code. So you can change the title to Facebook Messenger group chat. So we can simply write a simple heading on the screen. So it will automatically restart, and if you navigate to localhost 3000 in the browser, hopefully you will see, sorry, I'm running it on localhost 5000. You will see this heading right here, Facebook Messenger. So we are successfully loading this index.ejs template. So now the thing we need to do right here, we need to include socket.io in the client side as well. So we will be doing this in the next section. So now guys, in this section we will be importing the socket.io package at the client side as well. So you will see we have imported this at the server side. In Express we are including this right here, HTTP create server. We have made a backend server, and then we are using this input outputs. We are passing this reference of this server to the socket.io. So we successfully configured this on the server side. So now to do it on the client side, socket.io do offer a library. We need to include this script tag, and we can include this slash socket slash socket.io slash socket.io.js. So if you see in your Node.js module folder, whenever you install the socket.io package, this will be present. If you see, this is the folder which is present. So we are directly loading this slash socket.io, and inside this we are simply loading this file. It does provide you with this client JS automatically. It is present socket.io. So you can directly open this path in the file. I think it is present localhost 5000 socket.io slash socket.io.js. If you directly open this path in the browser, it will give you this minified code right here. This is actually the client library of socket.io that we are loading it indirectly in using the script tag. So now after that we will be loading another script. This time this will be the custom JavaScript, which will be located in the JS folder, and I will call this as client JS. So now I will go to the public directory, and in the JS folder you will create a file called as client.js. This file will this will contain the JavaScript code which will be executed. So we will be simply be adding the event listener. So this event listener is DOM content loaded. So when all the elements are loaded, we just need to load the socket.io library. For loading it, it's very simple. We create a variable and initialize it to input output. So it's bidirectional communication between the client and the server, and socket.io provide both the libraries at the server side and the client side. So we can console log this information socket. So if you see, if you connect it, if you open your application and inspect element, go to console, you will see this actually returns a object about the socket. Socket, I told you, it's a client, it refers to any individual that is opening a browser. It has various properties like this: the ID of the socket or the client of the browser. It basically contains browser information, so each and every browser. So now we can also bind events. We can send events, emit events between client and server. So bidirectional communication. So you can simply write here input output, and it does provide you on function. So there is built-in events right here, which is connection event. So whenever a new client is connected, this event will automatically fire and a new socket will be connected. So we can actually say a message on the console, and we will say a new client is connected. So this console log message will come in the right in the server client. You will see that a new client is connected. Similarly, we have another option. Whenever someone leaves, we can bind it to the socket. So socket.on disconnect event is also pre-built. So let's suppose if someone leaves the chat, you can just console log a message, a client disconnected. So this will only fire whenever someone closes the browser. You will not see, only this message is showing right here. So again, if someone opens the browser for the second time, it will treat it as a new client. You will see two messages are there. Now if I close it, so if I close this, you will now see a client disconnected. This is bidirectional communication happening between the client and the server using socket.io, and using this communication we will build our chatting application. So now in the next section, or I can develop the interface in this section itself. It's very simple. I will not write the CSS code. So what I will do, I do have the CSS code which is available inside. So what I will do, it's available inside this CSS folder. So this is styles file right here. So what I will do, I will simply copy this and paste it. So all the source code is given in the description, so you can purchase it. This is a styles.css file, and right, we can directly include this file, which is present in the CSS folder, styles.css. And now we can directly write the HTML right here. We will have an div which will have the chat container div. Inside this, we will have a simple form where the user can write messages or select attachments as well. So message form, we are given an ID, and then inside this we have the input type. First of all, it will be a hidden field, and we will be giving a name attribute of username and an ID as well of username. So this input field will not be seen by the user. It just for storing this information in local storage. And the second one will be for input type text. Here we will allow the user to enter the message, text message, We'll give it a name attribute of message and an ID of message as well. We'll give it a placeholder, enter or type a message. And if you refresh, you will actually see we have already pre-made the classes. You will see this input field is added right here. And after this, we will simply have another input type file, and we'll give it a name attribute of file and ID of file as well. So here we will allow the user to actually upload files. So a choose file button will be added right here. Lastly, we will have a button to actually submit the form. So I will call this as send button. You will see a green button is added right here, send button. This is a chat container right here. So this is all which is available in the user interface. Now in the next section, we will start writing the code for implementing this chat application. So I will be seeing you in the next section. Now guys, in this section we will start building the functionality in the chatting application. First of all, we will tackle the username. So whenever you land your application, we will allow the user to actually select the username which will be used in the chatting session. And for doing this, we actually need to include a third-party package, Sweet Alert 2, which will actually show you a alert message where the user can enter the. So it's actually an alternative to the normal alert boxes that you see in the browser. It's a very good alert library. So we can simply include their CDN. So installation, go to installation and simply include this script tag and go to your HTML file index.ejs. Right at the top side, include the CDN right here. Now you can use the Sweet Alert package inside your client.js. So first of all, what we will do, we will get reference to all the elements in the DOM. So we will be getting reference to the username input. So document.getElement by ID, username, we are given an ID in the HTML, and that's all. For now, we will only be tackling the username, so that's all. We'll be declaring a global variable. We'll be keep track of which username the user selects. So we have declared a variable right here. So after that, as I already told you, we'll be storing the username in the local storage. So here we will have a if condition. If local storage has an existing user, has an existing ID. So this is actually called as key parameter in local storage. So here we are checking in this if condition that if the username is already present in the local storage, then we will get that username and store it in the variable local storage dot get item username. So we are getting the item from the local storage and assigning it to the username input username. And right here, this is actually the client side. We are sending an event to the server side. So we can send events, as I already told you in socket.io, from server to client or client to server. It's a bidirectional protocols WebRTC. So socket, the variable that we declared, you will see it has an input output reference. It contains a function called as emit, and here we can name your event whatever. So in this case, I will call this as join, and we will pass a payload in the second argument. In this case, we will pass the username. You can pass an object, you can pass an array, but in this case we will pass a variable which is the actual username, like this. Now we need to catch this event in the server side. So right in this block of code where the client is connected, so we'll simply catch this event in the server side by simply invoking socket.on, and here we can catch events which the client sent. So here we are sending the event called as join. So we can catch this event in the server side called join. So will be asynchronously. We're getting the username right here. So whatever username the user passes, we will get this in the server side. We are console logging it. So it's very simple. So right here, we will simply, if the username is not present in the local storage, in the else condition, we will show a alert message. So for the alert message, you'll use the sweet alert. So SWAL, it contains a function fire, and it basically just expect you to give it a title. So we'll simply say enter use username. We'll give it an input field where the user can enter a text value, and we'll simply input placeholder. We'll simply say to the user username input validator. So here the value will come after you enter it in this variable. So you will simply check if the username is not typed by the user. In that case, you will show a message to the user that you need to enter, you need to write something. So if the user doesn't write something, you will just return a message. So this function returns a promise. We can handle this using dot then, and after that it returns the value result. And now we will simply say if the result dot is confirmed property comes out to be true. In this case, this simply means that if the user clicks the OK button after entering the username, this condition will evaluate to true. After that, we will be getting the username value using result.value. Again, we will be doing the same process, setting the username input.value to be the actual username that is selected. And also we will be setting this time in the local storage, we will use set item. To actually set the item in the local storage, we will put a key parameter username and pass username like this. And lastly, we need to again emit socket.emit, again call the same event and pass the username. So now if the user clicks the cancel button, in that case we will simply say username is required to join the chat. And then we will just reload the page, or I think it's not necessary for now. Let me just see what happens. If I land on the page, you will see automatically it will detect no username is present in local storage. So you will actually see a alert box of sweet alert 2, and here you need to enter your username. So whatever I enter right here, I will get this in the console, server side console. So for that I need to actually, yeah, so we are actually listening on localhost 5000 in the, so whatever I type right here, whatever username I type, you will see I'm getting it in the console. So the interaction is happening successfully from client to server. We are returning the information from the browser of the user to our server. So this is the communication which is happening directly, if you see, from client and the server. So now in the next section, guys, we will look at how to actually set this information in the database. Now guys, we will be writing the server side code to actually save that username in the MongoDB database. So whatever username user write in this event right here, after console logging it, we need to actually store this username in the database. So for doing this, we will simply say await, as this is the async function. We will simply say user, and for actually saving this information, we do need to actually create a schema first of all. So write in your root directory, create a models folder. So models will be the actual data which will be storing it. So first of all, create user.js. So this will actually hold information about the user. So we will be importing the mongoose package. We will require it. And for constructing the schema, we will be declaring a variable user schema, new mongoose dash schema, and actually it contains an object username. We will be storing it, which is of type string, and we will also be storing the timestamp as well, which is of type date, and the default value of it will be the current date and time, date.now. And then we just need to create the collection using this model, using the schema. So mongoose.model, and we'll name our collection as user. So this user collection will be created using the schema that we provided. Now lastly, we just need to export this file. So module.exports.user. So similarly, you need to create another file for messages as well. So the number of messages we'll be storing it. We do need to create their own schema for that also. So again, require the mongoose library. And here we need to select the schema for the messages. So each message will comprise of, so it has, each message will have a username, which username has sent the message, and then the actual message, which will also be of type string. And if any image or file has been selected by the user, then that file will also be of type string. File type will also be of type string, the extension of the image file. And lastly, the timestamp, which is of the type date when the message is sent. So default value will be date.now. So we don't need to manually pass the timestamp, it will take the default value, the current date and time. And the same thing after, we need to actually create the table for this also. Mongoose.model. We'll call this table as message using the schema that we provided. And then we need to export this file as well, module exports message. So now we have both these model files ready, user and messages. So now we can successfully import this file by simply calling. So first of all, what I need to do, okay, so right here we will be creating a new object of that user model class. So it will automatically get imported. VS Code will automatically import from models folder. If you see, we are creating a new object of it and passing right here the actual username value in the curly bracket. You will see that. And then we will simply say socket.username is equal to username. We will initialize a property to the current socket. We will add this property of username to the actual passed username. And then we will again now emit an event to the client. Similarly, when we send information from client to server, now we can send information from server to client. So for now, we will use input.io variable, which is this global variable. So whenever you want to send information from the server to the client, we will use io, not socket. So input output.emit. So this will emit this event to all the clients which is connected. So this will to all clients which are connected. It will actually broadcast this event that this username is joined the chat. So we are sending this payload as a second argument. Now we need to catch this in the client side. So then how we can catch this? It's very easy. So right here, if you see, we have this outside this if condition, we will simply say socket dot on user joined, and we will get the username the user server passes. So based upon this event, now we can update the UI. We can actually have a message on the chat board that this username has been joined. So we will simply create a dynamic element of li, and we will simply say new message dot inner html. We will simply say in backtick symbol that this username has joined the chat. And after that, we need to add this message to the message container. So we do need to get a reference to the message container. Like this. So we need to, I think we haven't added in the, you will see in the chat container, just before this, we do need to add HTML for this, where we'll be storing the messages. So we will just add a UL element, just an unordered list. We'll give it an ID of messages. So we are just targeting this UL element, and right inside this messages container, we will append this child of new message. That's all. So now if you see guys, if you refresh now, so it is saying that message container is not defined. Think some error is there. Message container. Message container. Sorry, let me call this correctly. Message container. So now you will actually see a message on the screen. John has joined the chat. So it already detected that a local storage variable has been set. You will see that the username that you give. If you check your database, a table will be created, or the user table, and it has a value. If you refresh it, it doesn't have any value. Let me see what is the problem. We are getting the message, but we haven't inserted information in the database. So I think I need to refresh it, or something wrong with the connection. If you see, we are actually getting this information in the console, in the index.js. Okay, we forgot to call the save method, guys. That's why the problem is occurring. Okay, after we initialize it, we need to call the user.save method of Mongoose to actually update this information and save it. Simply call the save method as well, and refresh it. Now if you check your database, so a entry I will be added right here with the username of John. If you see, the timestamp will take the current time, date and time. So the username is successfully inserted, and now in the next section, guys, you will be tackling the messages. If you type any message on the screen, so this is working for every client. If you open this window in a different client, a different incognito window, so this will treat it as a different person which is logging inside your application. So again, it will show you this alert screen. So let's suppose if I enter a different username, uh, I call this as Smith. So now you can see in both the windows, it has been broadcasted that this user also know that this user has joined the chat. So now if you refresh, there will be two users in the database, John Smith, in the users table. So now in the next section, we will be tackling about the messages. But before that, guys, we just need to implement one other functionality. So whenever someone leaves the chat, we need to delete this username from the database. Let's suppose there are two clients connected. So once someone leaves, we also need to show a notification message that Smith has left the chat. If I close this window, I also need to delete this username from the database as well. So how we can do that? It's very simple. Again, we will in the socket.on disconnect event right here, we will simply say if socket.username evaluates to true, because we actually added a property called as socket.username. Here we are checking that if the username is already set, in that case we need to remove it. We will simply again call the user model class, and this contains a function delete one, and here we will be saying username, just delete that username which is present in socket username. Just make this function async. After this, we need to globally tell each and every client. Again, you'll be using input output emit. This time this will be user left, and we'll pass the actual username socket.username. That's all. This is a logic, very simple. When the socket disconnects, we actually look out for if the username exists, then we delete that user from the database and send out a event back to the client user left. Now we need to catch this event in similar fashion. Socket.on user left, and we will actually get the username, and we can actually again show the same message. This time the message will be has left the chat. That's all. So you will see, you will get a message for joining, and if you now if you say Smith has joined the chat, and let's suppose if I close this window, you will now see Smith now has left the chat, and that entry will also get deleted. So now you will see that entry will not be there. It's only there once because this for the second time we deleted it. So now in the next section we'll be tackling the messages. So if you type any message, we need to show it on the screen. So for doing it, it is now you see it is automatically submitting the form. So we need to tackle this in the next section. Now guys, in this section we will be implementing the last functionality in the application, which is the messages, or we will be handling the attachments. So for doing this, we need to go to our client.js file, and right here we need to get references of all the elements. First is a message form. So when you submit the form, we need to get the reference here, whatever ID that we have given to the form, which is message form. Also, we need to get the message input reference. Here in this field, we'll be entering the actual message that needs to be sent. I have given an ID to it of message. And lastly, the file input. So this will be the attachment. We have given an ID of file. So both these DOM elements, both these three DOM elements, and here we will be binding a message form and add event listener. So when the form submit, this event handler will automatically execute. E parameter will be passed. Just make this function as asynchronous, and we will be preventing the auto submission of the form by e.prevent default. After that, we will simply check in the if condition that if the username does, if the user doesn't enter the username, if the username doesn't contain a value, then in that case we will show a message that username is required to send a message. And we will not execute the application, just write the return statement. So the application will exit. Similarly, if the username doesn't enter a message, or neither he selects a actual attachment, file input dot files dot length comes out to be 0. In that case, we will simply say to the user, you need to enter a message or select a file to send. Also, you will simply return. So one other scenario will be there if the user selects both the things. If they also write a message and also select the attachment as well, in both these scenarios and condition is there. So in this scenario also we'll simply say to the user that you can't select both the things. You can only send a message or a file, not more, both. You can allow the user to send both, but in this application I will not. So we have added these three conditions. So if all these conditions are met, in that case this now code will be executed. We will simply construct a form data object, new form data, and we will be passing the whole form, message form, as an argument. So this form, if for this form data to work, you need to give these name parameters we have given. If you see, we have given the name parameters, username, message, file. So this is very important. You need to give name parameters for form data to work. After that, in this try catch block, we can actually make a fetch request to the slash upload. This will be a simple post method. We'll be sending the full body as form data. So inside your try catch, if any sort of error take place, so this actually will return either OK response. So if response dot OK, in that case we need to reset the input field. So we simply say message input dot value, or file input dot value. So we are resetting that whenever form submits successfully. So now we need to write this backend request inside your main.js file. So just shift this code right at the top, just after here, you can just see. So now after the get request, you can just write app.post slash upload. And first of all, we will simply say upload.single, and you can see we are given this name parameter of file. We have given this to the input element, where to the attachment right here. So here we are simply making this route and simply allowing the user to actually upload the file. If any file was selected by the user, Malter will successfully upload that file in this middleware. So this will be asynchronously function. This middleware we already configured early on. If you see, this is coming through. Sorry, you need to declare it early on right here. Just right here, declare it. Now we can access this middleware. We are passing this as a request upload.single file. So now we can simply get the message. We'll instantiate a new reference of the message class, message model class. It will be imported, and here we'll be sending four properties: the actual username, which will be getting request.body.username, the actual message request.body.message. If the message is not available, in that case we will be setting it to nothing. If the user has selected a file, in that case we'll say request.file. We'll use a ternary operator. If the file is selected, then request.file.file name. We'll get the file name using this. If the file name is not selected, in that case we'll say to nothing. Lastly, the file type is the extension. So if the file is selected, in that case we will get the file type using request.file.mem type or nothing. We are getting these four parameters. Now we can simply save this inside MongoDB. So we'll say await message.save, save the message, and then again we'll be emitting globally this event to all the clients, new message. We'll call this event as this, and in the payload we will be storing, we'll be just declaring this object message.username, and the actual message, which will be message.message file, message.file, and the file type message.file type. So we are sending this whole object as a payload to the client, and lastly we will be sending a 200 status request. So when the client, it is automatically done, we are sending a status of 200, which is successful. So this is our backend request. Now in the client JS, we are getting this response.ok to be true. So we need to catch this event that we are sending from index.js. You will see new message. We need to catch this event and update the UI. So now to catch this, again we will be using the same logic right here, socket.on new message, and we'll get the data object right here. You can console log it just to cross check. If I refresh now and type any message hi, click on send, just refresh here. So here you see nothing will happen. If you check the console, you will get an object right here, which will have four properties: a username which has sent the message, which is John, the message is actual hi, file type, and file. You will actually get all this. So it is saying response is not defined. I think in the client.js, it is telling us that response is not defined. Sorry, I call this as, it needs to go inside it. Sorry, I just, right here we need to call this. So now if you write any other message right here, refresh it, just clear out the console, hi, hello, click on send, you will get this object right here. Now if you want to, again it will reset. If you want to select the image file, you select the image, click on send. Now it will be an image. You will see that the message will be empty. Now we are getting the image path, the file type, which is image/png, and the username. So we are actually getting the actual information that we need. Now we just need to update the UI. And if you check in the, a table will be created of messages in the MongoDB database, and we are storing all these messages in the database, so that when we refresh the page, all these messages will come back and show it in the screen. So Now to update the UI is very simple. Go to your client.js. In the new message event, we will simply create a new message variable. We'll create a dynamic li tag once again, create element li, and we will be manipulating the inner HTML of it, new message inner HTML, and we will be simply be having the strong tag, and inside this we will have a span tag. So inside the span tag we will be giving a class to it of user. So here we will be embedding the actual username, and we will simply be saying we're giving some styling right here. Let me just copy paste it. So you will see we have embedding the message right here and the actual username. We have given some styling right here. After you do this, you need to actually add this to the DOM. So we will simply say messages container append child and new message. So if you just refresh now, type a message, you need to enter a message or select a file. So nothing happens. Let me see what is the problem. New message inner HTML. I messages container message, sorry, I call this message container, so that was the problem. So this was message container. So if I type a message, just refresh now. Now you will see the message will come on the screen as well. You can type any message. So you can see that. So if you select an image, I think the image will not come because we didn't handle the image. So the image will not display because we do need to handle a case for this. We do need to actually have a if condition right here. So you will simply have a if condition that if the data has a file attribute attached to it, then in that case we need to display image file. So we'll be creating a dynamic div element which will have data.file type property that we have. So here we'll be checking that if the file type starts with image slash. So here we simply know that if it starts with image slash, then it's an image file, and for that we will be actually be creating a image element img tag, and image.source will be equal to slash upload slash followed by the actual file data.file, and then we will be adding this div to the image tags like this. So if you now check, I think the image should show. If I go to if I select image file, the image is not showing. Let me see data.file. The error was, guys, the image was not showing because we haven't added this file div to our message container. So this is the actual problem. So we do need to add this to the new message right here that we are creating. So right here we need to say new message append child, and then we need to append this child, which is file div. Here we will be showing our image file if the message is a image that the user is sending. So now if you navigate to your application, if you try to send a message which is an image file, not a text, So you can see, you can send text messages, and now if you want to send a image file, you can actually select a image file. Let me go to the downloads folder, and here if I select any JPG or file, click on send, and now you can see that, guys, the image is sent. And if I try to open this in a new window, so this is a second client which is connected. This is, so let's suppose if I send a message right here, you will see Smith has joined the chat. If I click hi, you will see the message will be prompted. You will see Smith is saying hi. So if I send out image from this client, so now you can see that the image is sent to both the clients, and now you can simply chat with one another by sending text messages, or you can send out images. So one other thing is that if you don't want to send image, if you want to send any other file so that the user can download it on their end, so this is very easy. You can just write a else condition right here. You can write here, if the image is not of the type image, then we just need to show the link to the user so that the user can download it. So we can simply say we need to create a element here, a anchor element, and right here we will simply say link.href is equal to slash upload slash followed by the data.file, and we need to make it downloadable. So we will say link.download.data.file and link.text content, and it will be shown the data.file, whatever is the name of the file. And we will lastly we will be appending this file div append child link. That's all. We will add this link hyperlink to this file div, and lastly we are appending it to the new message like this. Well, now if you try to send any other file up which is not an image file, let's suppose you are sending a PDF file, click on send, and now you can actually see I need to send I think, let's suppose if I send right here this file, a video file, but it is not showing. Let me see what is the problem. Object is returned to us. You will see that it is file type is saying video slash mp4. So the video is not showing. I think there is some kind of error which is there. Uh, link.href data.file. Let me just copy this, guys, and show to you. So let me just remove this. So this is actually the code. The link is given, guys. I think I made a typo mistake right here. This is the case for the image file. If the data type file type starts from image slash. So now if I try to do this, if I send a, you will see basically now if I try to send a image, uh, a video file. Now, guys, all the things are correct. You will basically see we have the if block, else block. There was not a problem in the code. It was just an internet connection problem. Now you can see that I am just running this application localhost 3000. And if I try to open another incognito window, localhost 3000, you will actually see it will tell me to actually give a username. I will see Smith has joined the chat, and if I just make it these windows side by side, you can just exchange text messages. If you type hi, you will basically see this is localhost 3000. Sorry. So if you type hi, and you will basically see it is returned here. You can exchange text messages. You can exchange, let's suppose if you want to send a PDF file, you will see the link will be there, and now the user can simply click and they can download this PDF file inside their machine like this. And if you want to send images, you can even send PNG, JPG image. You can see the image is reflected in both the windows. So it can be multiple clients connected with each other, chatting with one another. So it's a Facebook Messenger clone, guys. You can see how this, if I left, you will basically see Smith has left the chat. Again, if I join it, you will see it will detect the local storage. Smith has joined the chat. And if I leave it from here, Gautam has left the chat. And again, if I join, so Gautam has joined the chat. So you will basically see it's a mini Facebook Messenger clone. And also, if I refresh the application, if I refresh the chat, all the previous messages will be staying right here. How we are doing it? So just go to your home route where you are actually loading inside your main index.js in the server side code. So here we need to we are simply finding all the messages. You will see that message.find. So this mongoose method find will actually return all the messages, previous messages which are there, and we will be actually be rendering it in the EJS template. We will be sending this variable messages, which will be an array here, which will contain an array of messages. And now in the index.ejs template, you will see we are storing all these PDF image files right here in the uploads directory. And right inside your views folder, we will simply make a simple loop right here. If you see, in this loop right here, we are actually using the for each loop. For each message, we are displaying the username, we are displaying the actual message, and we are again having this if condition. If the message is of the type image, then we are simply showing it in the if condition. We are showing this image tag. If the message is not an image, then we are showing the link right here. Very simple, message.file. So downloadable link. So when you reload the application, let's suppose if you close it, want to reload once again, the previous messages will show. So you will see that all the previous messages are showing right here. So this chat can support multiple clients, multiple users can chat with one another simultaneously using this Facebook Messenger clone. If you need the full source code, guys, the link is given in the description. You can directly purchase the full source code with full documentation and support from me. And the link is given. You can directly go to procodestore.com and you will actually get the zip file from Google Drive after you purchase the full source code. And please hit that like button, guys. Subscribe the channel as well if you like this video, and I will be seeing you guys in the next video.